Hello and welcome back to the shop. Today we are going to take a look at a Kobalt powered screwdriver. Now these things are kind of interesting. They've been around a long time. There's many versions of them. I happen to have some older Milwaukee ones here that we use in the shop, like this one here. But you can see the size difference here is staggering. It is significant. And some of these smaller ones, it would be nice to have something in the work carry that's not so clunky. Try and save on the old carpal tunnel. So let's take a look at this thing. We also did a video on a Craftsman version, and maybe we'll do a heads-to-head on these two and see which one of the two has the more torque use or any of that stuff. But let's get into this. So this is Kobalt. They say it's 23 piece with all the tips and charger and everything. One nice thing that this thing has over the Craftsman was micro USB charging. This is USB-C. So that's a nice upgrade in my opinion on the Kobalt. The USB-C is a little bit less finicky with the prongs of the charging cables. Micro USB tends to have some issues with getting the insides bent, and then it doesn't work as well. So let's take a look here. They break out the components that come in it, and they point out that is a quick release chuck, just like the Craftsman was. Pretty much all of these, even the Milwaukee one that I showed, was a quick release chuck. Now it does have an LED work light, which is nice, and it has built-in battery, like I said, charge indicator like the Craftsman one does, USB-C, and soft handle grips. So let's get this thing open. It does say that it is made in China. The Craftsman was made in Taiwan, if that matters to you. Let's get this open and we'll take a closer look. We have our tool. We have the standard, everybody has them, adapter, and we have a whole bunch of tips, which actually don't appear to be poor quality tips. They seem like they're decent. This style tip, I don't know. I don't favor these smaller tips that go in to these unless you have a locking style of these to hold these tiny tips in. A lot of times this stuff just falls out and gets frustrating. I generally prefer going with a longer style tip that would be something more like this, that I can just put this whole thing right into the tool, and then I don't have to worry about stuff falling out. You know, if you're working in stuff, above stuff, whatever, you can't really afford to have tips coming out. So that's something that you gotta be careful with. Now the tool overall seems pretty nice. You have your direction handle here. You have forward, you have reverse. It has lights. It has a charge indicator, which is not lighting up here. And here is your USB charge, your USB-C charge. There you have it. A little flap tab there. This feels pretty decent. Let's see if this will go in without releasing it. It does not. So that is one nice thing with, say, the Milwaukees. Their tab is in the release position, and all you have to do is push the tool in and it's locked. And then when you want to take the tool out, the chuck collar stays in the release position. So that is one thing, and the Milwaukee has clutches in it, which for the power that this thing's going to be, I don't think it's going to really need clutches. If you can't figure out how to vary how tight this thing goes, you know. So anyway, this thing is USB-C. Let's get the cable out here, and let's get it plugged into the USB charger, and let's see what current it draws. So here's our USB charger. Here's our, we'll go into port 1. Here's our USB-C cable. Now this does not matter orientation wise. You can put it on one way or the other way, and we'll just plug that right in. And you can see we have a flashing white light. And let's see if it's drawing current. It is not saying that it's drawing current with the charger. Let's see here. So it looks like it's going to have almost twice the current charging as the USB micro. It's interesting, you plug it in. There we go. For whatever reason, I had to trick the charger here. I think this was working the whole time. I think it was just something with the charger that made it get confused. So this happens to be the Craftsman micro USB charge. We'll plug that back in. And you'll see that's charging at 0.1 or 0.81. I'll bring it into frame. We're waiting on both of these to charge up. So there's that, and then here's the Kobalt. So that's a clear advantage to the Kobalt, that it is charging with a higher current, which means it will charge faster. It may even have a bigger battery in it because of the fact that it charges faster. So we'll let these charge up, and then we'll take a look at the Kobalt, and maybe we'll compare the Craftsman a little bit between the two. Okay, and we're back. So we can see we have a solid LED light here. That means that the tool is fully charged. You can see our charger was not taking any current either, so let's get the charger off frame. And since this is fully charged, what we'll do now is check the RPM of this thing. They make a claim of 280 RPM. So we have our RPM testing socket. It's just a 7/8 socket with some reflector on it. We have our Vita root. Let's see what speed we get. I mean, that is right at 280. Let's go the other direction. Right at 280. So that's good. And what we're going to do now is we're going to hook up this contraption here, which is a torque meter, and this particular one is 1/4 inch. So this one has a smaller, lower sensing range, and we have this thing set up for inch pounds. And we're going to see how many torque cues this thing has. And we're going to do that by just running this. And I'm going to grab this socket and we'll load the screwdriver until it over torques and shuts itself off. And we'll see how much power it has. So we got 6 inch pounds on that test. We'll run another one. Pretty consistently getting 6. We'll run it in reverse. We'll reset this just to make sure. This thing should reset, but yeah, it's consistently getting 6 inch pounds. So it's not too bad, I guess, for a screwdriver. And we'll have a cameo here from our freshly charged Craftsman screwdriver. And we will just see how much power the Craftsman has. So going forward, we got 7 out of the Craftsman going forward. We'll do that again. 7 again. And now we'll do a reverse pass. So interestingly, we only got 6 out of reverse. Let's try that again. So it's 7 forward and 6 reverse. So they're both getting around 6. So let's continue to look at this thing. We have 4 LEDs in the end of the tool. And if we put this conglomeration back in here, I believe this has a clutch in it. So it locks, and you can use this as a regular screwdriver. There you can see that started reading. So it is not very powerful, but it will help you with running screws. Like if you're devicing all day long, this thing would be very nice. You don't need a lot of power to device. You just need to run screws in and out. And if you went and put a screwdriver tip like this on it, this would be a nice, quick, easy screwdriver that you could probably put in a pocket if you really wanted to. This is not any more bulky than some of the multi-screwdrivers that have the tips stored in the handle. This isn't all that bulky. But yeah, this is a pretty nice screwdriver. It does not have the torque of even this old screwdriver or the Milwaukee, but it is much more compact, and there's always a trade-off with things like that. So I think for the money, this is really not that bad. If you want a convenient thing to just run screws, I think this thing is great. Okay, so we're talking about the Kobalt. Let's compare the weight of the Kobalt with the weight of the Craftsman. We've picked both these up. Let's see what we have here. So we have, if I can get that to stay, 229 grams. And the Craftsman weighs in at not a good, there we go, 226 grams. So the Kobalt is just a little bit heavier, but not much heavier. You can see the size is about the same of both, though the Craftsman does neck down a little bit more like a conventional screwdriver in this area. So if you really needed to loosen stuff, it kind of has that grip feel. This isn't bad. Everything's rubberized on both of these. The blue is rubberized on the Kobalt, and everything that's black is rubberized on the Craftsman. So you're really not going to slip with either. I do not know what's going to happen with oil. If you get oil on these, are they going to get nasty or not? But let's just compare diameters here quickly. I would say the Kobalt is right around 1.5 inches in the back. And the Craftsman is probably about 1 7/16 inches. So they're not a significant difference. Up here at the front, we're probably about 1 1/8 inches. And the Craftsman, probably like 1 1/16 inches. So again, not a significant difference. Both are pretty similar. But that all aside, this is a pretty nice tool. I think it has a lot of applications. It's much more compact. I have been using these Milwaukees for a while, and these have more power, but you can see they are bigger. So if you want something somewhat compact, this Kobalt is a good way to go. And time will tell how it holds up, but we'll have it here in the shop. We'll play around with it. We'll play around with the Craftsman. I think I'm going to take the Craftsman to work and we'll put this one through the paces at work and see how it does. And I will compare them in a future video head to head on the experience we had with them. So I hope this was interesting. As always, thanks for watching. Have a great day.